Well, can he? He can.
Yes,
He's
he
gonna show you today. This is the Big Finish at Lincoln Lodge. We're about to get it on the show. So come on, everybody, and get the show on the road.
Let's get it on the road. Hey, and welcome back to the Big Finish.
I'm Beckett Kenny.
And I'm Jamie Schreiner, and we're here at the one and only Lincoln Lodge.
Wow, what a magical place.
So magical.
Lincoln Lodge is like a magical place, low-key.
I feel like this is where art comes to be fostered and grown, especially when it's comedic art. Because the main thing at the Lincoln Lodge is it's gotta be funny, baby.
Honey,
we're not here.
It's gotta be funny.
It's gotta be funny. It's not anything. There's not any show here that's going up that isn't in some way funny.
Yeah,
it's a comedy club.
True. A comedy club, as some would say.
But for the people, by the people.
Yeah,
all about the people.
Like Chicago Reader's best stand-up, which is...
I feel like this is gonna air. I feel like this is gonna air after the dust has settled, which is why it's even more funny.
This is gonna air. Yeah, this is gonna air 7 months from now when none of this is remembered or relevant. But I am currently in the running for Chicago Reader's best stand-up of 2022. It is already 2023, but yes. we're voting on the past.
Yes.
I would like to talk about I have created.
I think you should.
A load of controversy over
Beckett
my
is
campaigning.
embroiled in controversy this week.
I've kind of become the George Santos of Chicago comedy, because when so here's the thing about Chicago Reader's like this local publication that they do a list of like best of like everything. I mean, they have a best of everything. It's kind of
arts
insane.
And culture,
like things you don't fucking
public
know
restrooms.
And they have a best stand-up and also a best non-stand-up comedian, which every year like some random comedians kind of go for it and stuff, and I decided this year I'm gonna go for it.
Is this your year?
It ultimately does not matter who wins, and there's a good chance I won't win, and I'm okay with that.
But what if you win? You know what I mean? Like, I think I'm proud of you for putting yourself out there. I'm proud of you for getting on the ballot. I think that this controversy that you're embroiled in is just, it's hard. As your friend, it's hard to watch you in the midst of it, because I know you would never intentionally be hurtful. Like, that's just not your energy. I feel like you're much more likely to detach and walk away than be confrontational or be mean. You're not a meanie. You're a soft sweetie. But your comedy can be edgy.
Well, that's what I was talking about, is like, it's hard because who I am like as a person in my day-to-day life and like how I interact like with people like in relationships is like, I'm just trying to be kind constantly. I want people to like me. I always want people to have a good time. I don't like want to hurt people. But my comedy is like, I'm attracted to like controversy and like riding the line a little bit and kind of like, you know, playing in those things. And I think that a lot of comedians are like interested in doing that. And it's hard too, because like in social media, like, and we're going to see Madonna.
We are going to see Madonna. And I was 2 days before my birthday, or a day before my birthday, depending which one we go to. But
God bless America. I think about how she uses controversy, and you're wearing a Lil Nas X shirt, and it's like the internet like rewards like controversy and like things that like create reactions. And I created a post when I got announced for Chicago Reader where I like said, wow, since I've been nominated for Chicago Reader, I've had to up my security because all of the other comedians have sent me these awful texts, and I made fake texts from all the other competitors or all the other people nominated for Chicago Reader, like basically like texts that made them look bad, like or they were calling me a faggot, and I tried to make it like as like absurd as possible, as to
and
like
it would obviously be that you wrote the text,
right? And
nobody would
like
actually say any
a
of these
joke,
things.
and that it like was not actually coming from these people, but some
Feelings
people
were
did
hurt.
think that the people had sent those texts to me, which is, and some people were mad because they're like, hey, like this is not cool. I like like one person in particular, I gave them the harshest text, which is because I wrote theirs first, and so that I got
it all out.
All of my ideas came out on that one, and then after the other ones, I was like, I got to come up with something different. And they're like, hey, I don't like that, like you put this language on my name, and like I could get fired for this, and I do feel one thing I wish I would have done in hindsight is like if you're gonna do a joke where you like pretend to like send texts, like get texts from people or something, like I should have included them.
Yes, in the writing process, or even just like be like, hey, this is what I'm attaching to your name. Is this okay with you? Because I will say it's like, I mean, we had talked about like I've been on podcasts where like they'll post something that I said with my own mouth out of context. I'm like, hey, could you maybe take that clip down? Because it's like you completely like took the nuance out of the situation, whereas it's like in this instance I think that like you had said the thing, it was like you thought it would be so clear that you were talking and not them, that that you didn't even, you were just excited to post it because you're like, oh, I find this really funny, whereas like when people's names are attached to it, it's their brand, it's their whole, so there's going to be,
I could see how that could be potentially dangerous misinformation, and you know, that's not cool. And then another comedian, I like did a fake text and they sent me and it ended up like referencing something that was a rumor that was spread about them, which I won't go into depth about, but like, which I had no idea about, and they were, you know, super mad at me. And I think we've both squashed the beef, and I don't have a problem with any of the comedians I'm not. In fact,
I think you were just trying to make a funny post.
I thought that they would all kind of think it was funny.
Yeah.
which was a little misguided, maybe.
Yeah, and I think honestly, like the big thing that like you had expressed to me that you took away from this was just that at the end of the day, like, were you in their shoes, you probably would have been upset as well. And I think that's a thing in the heart of all of us as comedians. We're very much the energy of like, oh, nobody can take a joke anymore. But then as soon as we're the butt of the joke, if it's putting us in a bad light or messing with our image or just like, just having us represent something that we don't feel that we represent, we become very, very sensitive and upset. And it's like, and that's not specific to the people in this instance. It's like, I've done that, you've done that, Becca, Christy, like everybody who is a comedian has probably had an experience similar where like something's crossed the line for them, but then also as a comedian been like, why does this cross the line? I'm just trying to be funny. So it's like
it's an impossible situation, and I think that so many like there's like a certain generation of like comedians who are like older club comics who like are used to like saying like super inflammatory things and getting away with it. But and like I would say that one of the comedians that was mad at me over like the thing, I think more comes from that approach to comedy of being like, if it's funny you can say whatever. But you know, I think in this, I think that we're all like that of like, I'm like, it's a joke. How do people not get it's a joke? But then when you're like in that situation, you get offended and you get sensitive. And that's like why I would never, I'm terrified to do a roast show where I do the character assassination.
Because you're a character.
Where you play a character and you roast each other as the characters. Like, but like, I would be terrified to do a roast battle.
Oh, I mean...
Have you ever done a roast battle?
The only roast I've ever done is when I first was starting out. I did the roast of Jamie Schreiner for my birthday at Shady Babies. And I remember the next morning I cried for 2 hours, not because of what people said about me, but because I was so mean to my friends. Because like everybody... Because of how I am, and like I'm so sweet, and so, you know, like that's what I put out, and I do that intentionally. I want people to feel good. I want people to feel welcome around me. Right. Everyone who I invited onto this roast was like, "Oh, we're gonna go easy on Jamie."
Yes, and then you were like,
I did not go easy on anyone. I came for everyone's necks. I got probably a little too personal on some of them.
Did people talk to you about it? Did anybody get hurt?
Nobody ever came to me and was like, hey, that hurt my feelings. But like I could see on faces as I was saying the things. And that made me feel bad because it's like there's nothing worse for me than somebody being upset with me and not just telling me they're upset with me. When it's like I can tell they're upset. Right. And I'm like, hey, are you upset? Can we talk about this? And they're like, no, it's cool. And I'm like, but it's not. Like I can tell I hurt. And so that's when I was like, I'm never going to do roast again. And I mean, the roast battle people haven't invited me because I was attached to Les Piss last year. So I think...
Les Piss?
Les Piss was an iconic evening of roast battle where Luke Ipsum invited a bunch of alt comedians to do numbers from the musical Les Mis, but made it about pissing your pants and didn't alert roast battle at all. It was like 18 minutes and made the show long, and everyone was really upset. But honestly,
okay, my favorite thing is when all comics will jump on like a real traditional like comedy show and just fuck everything up and everyone's pissed. That like kind of like I don't know, Meg Stalter did that on CYSK before she was famous, and I think a bunch of people were
really upset. But I love that story.
Killed. And you can see that clip online still, like Meg at CYSK, and it's a hilarious clip.
Because doesn't she just like bring up a bunch of women on stage who are like female comedians who haven't done CYSK, or like somebody explained it to me. I've not watched it, but when I hear stuff like that, like that's the thing, the stuff of legends. And I feel like Les Piss will go down in Chicago comedy legend. But everyone was really mad. Everybody was like giving him a hard time. And I'm somebody who's like, people could talk shit about me till the cows come home and I won't care. Mm-hmm. But if you come from my friends, I will cut you in the streets.
Okay, maybe, and I hope I'm not confusing my Luke's.
It's okay.
Was he the one who was dressed up as the piggy?
Yes. He was the Luke, piggy. Okay. And then the next round he did Les Piss, and he had me play Fantine, and I sang I Dreamed a Dream. And I will say on the video, one of my favorite moments of the video, because we all love ourselves and we love fun moments. Claire Sunby says really loudly into the microphone as I'm doing like the slow entrance of the aisle. She said, "How the fuck did you book Jamie Schreiner for this?" And that made me feel very special. But as soon as Luke was like, "We're doing a musical," I was like, "Oh, I'm there. I'm in."
That is so funny. I thought I was like, what if I represented character assassination for like the roast battle and like did it as a different character each time? And it's literally because I'm such a big pussy that I'm like, I know that I could not handle getting roasted. The thing is, I love writing roast jokes.
Yeah.
I love that because it's just a fun joke writing exercise, really. But
I agree. Yeah.
It's hard because you're gonna hurt people's feelings and things are gonna get complicated, but that's like also like what's hard about comedy is it's like doing things like. When you're like posting, like I'm trying to like now get in a habit of like posting regularly on social media and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I said some bitchy things in those like pretend texts I sent from other people. And I love those people and I didn't want to hurt their feelings, but it was fun.
And that's the thing is like, I think we had talked earlier, it's like you were not thoughtful, but you were trying to be funny. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people who saw that would agree that you succeeded at being funny. It was just like, unfortunately, it's one of those things where it's like cost versus reward.
Right.
I think that's a huge part of like why I'm somebody who like I never really enjoy doing roasts after my experience doing one is like I feel like the reward in that instance isn't worth the cost of hurting somebody I love's feelings. I would much rather just like, I feel like that, like I like writing roast jokes as like a joke writing practice, but then I always try to like recontextualize those to fit within my set to be about like a broader topic or something rather than about like one specific person. But
and the other thing is too, like from my head, like looking back on it and like reading it from a different perspective, like the text I sent out from one person where I had them saying like a lot of homophobic slurs about me. Like to me, that's not like something that would obviously be offensive because I can flippantly use homophobic slurs and like make jokes about that. And like to me, but like I could see how coming from somebody else and like maybe making it look like it came from somebody else could be like harmful to them.
And we literally live in a culture where like if the wrong person saw that and didn't realize that it was just a joke, like somebody could lose their job over that. Right. So it is very like it is like a very serious thing. I think it's just like it's crazy that it's become so serious when it's like that wasn't how you meant it.
Right.
Like you were just playing around.
I think the vast majority of people knew it was a joke too, but it's like you that's the thing too of like I feel like in these conversations of like what's right in comedy and what's wrong, like somebody's like, well, is it funny? And it's like that's also not always the crux of it because something can be funny and wrong. Like I've seen jokes that were offensive to me and also funny to me, which is like like a hard line because it's like because you can be funny and in the wrong and you can be not funny and in the right. And I think sometimes those things can be confusing because you'll see somebody who like is making a joke and you're like, I agree with your premise and stuff, but this isn't funny to me.
Yeah. And I feel like those are the ones where like, not always, but sometimes where people are just like, yeah, woohoo. It's like the woohoo, yeah, cheering jokes. And that's why like I always, if I do a show and somebody woos or cheers at my joke instead of laughing, I'm like, oh my God.
Everyone gets annoyed by that because you don't want people to be like, yeah, like I like believe in what you're saying. Like I agree with you. You want people to be like,
yeah.
You know, you want people to like be you don't want people to just like it's not like a public speak. I mean, sometimes it is, and those elements.
And I feel like it's the kind of thing where it's like, I personally like. I think that I don't think my stuff is super edgy, but I think it's a little.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. No, let's go on what you're saying.
What do you think the most controversial joke? What joke have you gotten most in trouble for? Do you have an example that's like clear in your head?
I think, probably like one that I don't do a ton is just like I do a joke about Tom being a gun owner and having too many guns, and like just the word gun right now, like probably anybody listening at home heard GUN and their butthole clenched. It's a very topical thing right now that people don't want to think about or hear about. But basically, like I frame the joke by saying like I live with an addict, I live with a man. My partner is addicted to crystal meth. And then I let the audience get really, really upset. And I say, just kidding, but he is addicted to collecting historical firearms, which is objectively worse. And then, yeah, and I go on to say, like, you know, I understand, like, everybody needs a hobby, everybody needs an outlet, but, like, when you're collecting these large, bulky, you know, rifles for every year your dad ignored you, just go to therapy.
That is funny.
Go to therapy. And I think it's really funny, but it's like, that one also, I think my one that gets me in trouble sometimes that I can't always do.
Can I also really quickly say though that
you have some too.
You know.
Yeah, I know that you have some. Yeah,
you know, I have some jokes that actually don't piss people off a lot of the time. I think that I try to be as tactful as possible. And the other thing I'll say about like my post is I think if I'd done a joke on stage where I read those texts aloud, where I pretended they were from the other people, I think that would have translated in a different way and maybe come off more friendly and like that warmth, and like the internet like flattens things a lot and makes things colder, and like a lot of like the friendliness of like what I was trying, which I really did not mean to be hurtful, even though I do see now reading back, I'm like, I could see how that could be.
You're like, yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
But is like taken away and flattened, whereas like on stage, but I'll say that like a lot of my jokes, I don't think people get mad at me about per se, but like I think people will shut down just at the idea of the topic.
I feel like I think of.
Also, sorry, really quickly, what I want to say is I would prefer your husband collect historic rifles than like the newfangled ones, because at least like you can't
shoot them quick.
You can't shoot up like a whole event without like you'd have to be like, all right, everybody stand still. I gotta like get this next round in.
And the thing is, it's like I mean, I compare it to like when like just anybody who's never experienced a certain kind of culture before, because it's like he's ex-military in the UK and you can't own guns in the UK, like you're not allowed to. And so I think he came here and he's like, I can walk into a store and see this thing and buy it, and it's at my house the next day. And it's like, yeah, I mean, all the guns that he has, he accumulated within his first year in America. And I was just like standing there in my one-bedroom apartment, like, I'm going to kick you out. Like, I need this closet for my clothes. Like, we cannot have all these guns. And the thing is, it's like, before I met him, I was terrified of guns and I hated them. And I still think that we are wilding out way too much in this country. But it's like, I'm glad that at least I know how to use one if I needed to. I hope I never have to.
Interesting.
But it's like, I can't even think of a scenario in which I would need to use one, though, really. If we had to go back out and hunt again because there was no food,
you know,
I could probably get some food.
To me, in my head, like the idea I think Americans have a toxic idea of like self-defense that's been built up to them by like the movies and like right-wing propaganda that like if somebody came in with a machine gun at their work, they'd be the one who, and they got it out and they'd Indiana Jones and like bang, and they could like take out a whole terrorist group. And like the truth is that having a gun in your house is way more dangerous for you than like any scenario that you could protect yourself in. The rate of suicide, of domestic violence, of murder that like is increased when somebody has a gun in their household. It's way beyond the like potential benefits that you could have from self-defense. And also firearms are the leading cause of like, I'm sorry I'm actually going to come around and say something a little more neutral towards guns in a second, but are the leading cause of death for infants, of infant mortality in the U.S. Which is like, I remember somebody on Facebook was like, actually, no, that's male violence. I'm like, don't say just no, that's not the truth. Don't say no, it's not the leading cause, because I'm showing you this chart. It is the leading cause. It's like, maybe it's male violence, but a lot of those are also, kids who are playing with guns who aren't like, but to me, the thing that I most relate to, like with like gun rights, is like hunting. Is like my grandpa's a hunter, and I think that like if he's licensed and trained, like I think he should be able
to do that.
And it's like people are like, well, I need them for defense against like if the U.S. government ever goes awry. And it's like, you think you could shoot? How many drones do you think you could shoot down? Like you're psycho if you think you could defend against the U.S. military or even your local police, because they'd whoop your ass. You know what I mean?
I mean, honestly, like. All the love and respect to Tom. He's just a fucking nerd, because they're too big and too clunky. He maybe goes and shoots them once a year, if that. He literally just got them for the historical significance of, if you let him, he will talk to you exactly which battle this was used in, and this part had to be chiseled off because the soldier who held this was actually left-handed. And I'm just like, I think I'm gonna have like a hernia in my brain. Like I can't. I'm like, I think it's more that than, oh God, you can't, like, because he doesn't have that energy because he's not from here. Right. Yeah, that's a very American energy. That's a very American
like
energy.
A very like when I grew up in like rural America, like that's very much like that's the energy over there of like, I'm scared of.
What I think is because they're so used to their experience in their rural area that they are allowed to be like, not allowed to, it's like easy to spoon feed them this idea of everything that's other than what they have is wanting to come and take their Kmart. It's like, we are totally,
which is 100% not
do not care. Like literally us city dwellers could give a fuck about taking your Kmart. Like,
and it's insane to me that you bring someone so often, you talk to someone about like coming to Chicago, or you bring someone to Chicago from out of like the city, and it's like, and people are scared to be here. And it's like...
And you're like, oh, honey, no.
I also could talk for, like, hours about how, to me, like, crime is such, like, a political, like, driver. Like, people are really driven by, like, crime and, like, law and order and, like, those kind of messages in politics. And I think that in general, like, obviously crime is a problem, and we need to, like, people need to have consequences for these things. But, like... I think that like the idea that like I think people should realize that like healthcare, like one of these things involve crime, like healthcare and like tax structures and like civil rights, and like these things prevent crime, because by creating like these communities and like creating shelter for people, like
there's not people in scarcity who literally have to commit crime to have means by which to live.
Right. And two, it's like crime is even if crime is not that big of a deal, like statistically.
Yeah,
I know that sounds insane. And I know that everyone's like they're different, but like the truth is you're more likely to be in a car wreck than you are to be like in like a situation where you're getting mugged.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
It definitely does happen. We all know people in Chicago who've gotten mugged, but I mean, I will say, especially with my driving, like, yeah, the car wreck is more likely to take me out. I'm gonna take myself out with my own driving. But I mean, yeah, to be fair though, like it's a rural mindset, not just to
America though, I'd say like because Tom grew up in
It's
rural
everywhere.
UK and
Yes.
he comes here and when he first came here, he was very afraid of like crime and like had the Citizen app and was like would like spiral out of control with it. And I was just like, Tom, it's fine. Like if that happens, like of course that will be terrible and
Yes.
I don't want that to happen, but like in general,
But there isn't so much you can do to prevent it.
Yeah,
You
it's
can
like
you can only do like so much
yeah,
for
it's
yourself.
so random. Like I
And
feel like
of course-
crime in Chicago is random, or like, and I know that this. I feel like I'm like oversimplifying this, but I feel like crime is either like super random or it's like I have beef with you and I'm gonna fucking murder you and you're like my family member or my wife or you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
those are the two crimes that happen. So it's like either you know you could either not live your life and be afraid of like the random thing happening, which probably won't even happen, but might, or I don't know, like it's hard because you never really know a person, but just like avoid dating murderers. Like I don't.
Well, it's not like I think about like if you're like I think that the vast majority of people who are affected by crime are people who are like because of like economic means, because of their environment, because of where they grew up, like are already like
In a lower income
innately like
scenario, yeah.
involved in like crime and are surrounded by it, and like those are the people who like are like getting shot like overall or like getting like in those situations of like, and that's terrible. But it's like you as like a white tourist, like I mean I'd say that don't like like there's I wouldn't say it's impossible that you're going to get pickpocketed, but I think that there's a pretty low chance you're going to suffer gun violence if you're just visiting Chicago for like a week. You know?
And I think that it's like, I mean, yeah, like obviously there's also like there's hate crime, there's like police officers killing people wrongfully. Like I'm not saying all those things aren't happening, but we're talking the same like white suburban family coming to Chicago for a weekend and thinking, oh, we're gonna get like, no, you're not. Like, shut the fuck up. No, you're like, maybe somebody will like scam you.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, good for that. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. But no, I feel like I could see maybe like you getting scammed, but like, just don't fall for scams. I mean, you can literally Google scams in city and figure out the scams in a city before you go there. Like I know in New Orleans there's a scam where they like ask you like what shoes you're wearing, and I think it's like if I can guess what shoes you're wearing, you have to give me money. And then you're like, okay, like I don't think that they could guess, or it's something like that. And then they end up being like, oh, on your feet, give me $40, and then they'll like follow you around until I'm messing up the exact like nuance of it.
I can't understand.
It's something where it's something with shoes, and they ask you a question, and you think it's a pretty straightforward thing that they wouldn't be able to get, and then they're like, on your feet, give me your.
You're like. So a scammer comes up to you in New Orleans and they go, okay, if you can hop 3 feet on your left foot, and if it's on a Saturday,
so my riddle's 3.
You have to give me 3 nickels. But if it's a Tuesday and you were born on a Tuesday and you're a Virgo, you know.
No, but it's like I want to Google this now because I'm messing it up. But it's like I remember before I went to New Orleans the first time, because it was my friend's bachelorette party and she has family down there, and she was telling me if anybody asks you about your shoes, just keep walking. And I was like, that's so fucking random. Why? And I Googled it, and it's like a thing specific to New Orleans, or it was at the time in like 2019 when I went. But I think I went this summer and they were still doing it. And it's not like it's just like people who are impoverished and need money have come up with this fun way to get to, especially like if you go up to a drunk person, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I got this, and then now you owe this guy $40 and he's following you down the street until you give it to him because you're good for it. You're fucking on vacation in New Orleans. You can afford it, you know.
Right.
But
kind of the lie.
Right.
Oh, you know who I'm seeing this summer with my mom?
Who?
Pink.
Oh, I love that. Actually, I love Pink.
I love Pink too. You forget about her. You forget about Pink. I
feel like that's the kind of emo kid I was. Like, never win first place, don't support the team, can't take. Like she's pop emo. She's like emo in a way that's like you still have Barbies and you're still wearing like Juicy Couture tracksuit, but like you don't like yourself a little bit.
Yeah. I did this. I was doing this bit on stage for a second. I might bring it back. Where like Pink has this habit of like. I love Pink, but like for the last 10 years, every song she's been releasing has been like, yeah, we're all clowns, but it's okay. We're in this tiny clown car together. And it's also like women should be business women, not married. You know, like
every single song is that. I think that's part of why I love her though. Every single song is like, I don't want to be a dumb bitch, yes. And I don't want to have to conform to your shit.
Yeah,
we're all getting tattoos, but just one. Just one.
Yeah, it is, but just one. That's so funny. Even though I think she also is an underrated talent.
Oh, she's so good. Also,
she's got a gorgeous voice.
Also, I was gonna say gorgeous voice, but also like if you watch footage from her concerts, she's doing like fucking acrobatics and still hitting all those notes
live. And then too, like she has like she's got like great stage presence. Like she's a very charismatic performer. I'm stoked to see Pink and Madonna.
When honestly, like one of my favorite celebrity tea moments was Pink was mad as hell when they were doing Lady Marmalade because they gave Christina all those like high run parts, and Pink was like, bitch, I can sing that too. And they were like, well, Christina's Christina. So
okay, speaking of which, do you know that like you know the Madonna Christina Britney performance where Britney and Madonna kissed, and also we forget about this as a culture, but Christina and Madonna kissed?
Yes.
Do you know that wasn't supposed to be Christina Aguilera?
No, who is it supposed to be?
Do you know who? I want you to guess, but you're probably not going to.
Pink?
No, it wasn't Pink. Don't
tell me. Like, Christina Applegate?
No. It's another like pop star
of that time.
Yes,
Ashanti.
She doesn't like. I can see where she fits in the same box as Christina Aguilera, but like
Nelly Furtado.
You would not think of her as like a singer, really.
So she's more of a rapper.
Not a rapper
either.
But like a dancer and like even a movie star.
Paris Hilton. No. Hold on. Don't
did
tell
the
me.
Super Bowl.
She did the Super Bowl. Jennifer Lopez?
Yeah, it was supposed to be J-Lo.
It's supposed to be J-Lo? Did J-Lo say J no?
J-Lo said J no.
J-Lo said
Apparently
J no.
She was filming a movie or something.
Okay, so she...
But like...
That would have been a whole other thing.
Also... I think this is the second time I've brought J-Lo up on this podcast too. By the
it's a week ago. Not a week ago. The last time we recorded, but it'll feel like a week ago when people are listening.
J-Lo, which we record these truly 10 years from each other. So I'm like, I have no idea what I talked about last podcast. I could be saying the exact same thing. But J-Lo, I heard this rumor that like Ben Affleck will like tip like hundreds of dollars, and then J-Lo will go back and take the tip and like replace it with like a $5 tip.
What a bitch.
I know. That really took me over the edge a little bit.
I really hope that's not true because that pisses me off.
I know. That would be
so fucking garbage.
That's brutal. No, that's the most garbage thing because, I mean, you know, she has a ton of money.
I mean, honestly, nothing that either of us could ever do would be that evil. Like, I think we can forgive ourselves for all our wrongs.
You're so right. You're so right. But also, like, J-Lo and, like, Madonna too is pretty evil, even though we're going to see her, and I kind of live for Madonna. But Madonna's more upfront about it. It's evil in a fun
way. It's evil in a fun way.
Have you seen Truth or Dare?
No, I've not.
The documentary?
No, I've not seen Truth or Dare.
Okay, Truth or Dare. She is a bitch. That whole.
I can't wait to watch it.
She's really like, she is charismatic, magnetic, but she's also like so mean.
But I feel like it's like, I know it's so fucked up of me to say, but like she's of a time where you were a diva bitch. Like you were like when you were pop, like Mariah Carey's of that time too.
Yeah.
Mariah Carey, Madonna, like Whitney could have been a bitch if she wanted to be a bitch.
No, Whitney Houston was for sure a mean person. I mean, I love her. She's incredibly talented.
Whitney, yeah.
But like back then, like it wasn't like social media. She was very
lost too. I feel like Whitney I give a little bit more benefit of the doubt because Whitney had like, she was going through, like Whitney gets the benefit of the doubt from me. But I do think like Mariah and Madonna are for sure like they have mean energy, and I think that's why we love, like they serve cunt and we love that about them. But like
I think
you're allowed to do that.
Well, I don't think I think the difference between like Mariah, Whitney, and Madonna, who all I think are primarily maybe mean, but like, and J-Lo, who I think is J-Lo in her interviews is always like, oh, like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like,
she's trying to serve Drew Barrymore, but under the surface
right. But I think when you see Madonna in her interview, I really feel like for the most part you're getting who Madonna is off stage. And like, I think Whitney Houston comes off like tough and like she's not taking bullshit, and I think that's who she was.
Yeah.
You know, and I will say though that like sometimes I think I sometimes think people value authenticity over like, it's interesting because people are like, I'd prefer someone be upfront about stabbing me in the back and like kill my kids than somebody who like says that I'm fat in private. I'm like, like we have to think about the consequence. That was an exaggerated example, but sometimes people are like, I'd rather somebody be like
authentic,
be like terrible to me, like, and like literally push me down a flight of stairs than like be fake to me. And I'm like, I don't know.
I feel like, I guess my thing is, I'm just like, if you don't fuck with me, I would rather you keep that energy. Like, you don't have to be rude, but like, don't pretend to be my friend. That's really how I feel. Like, I don't think you have to come up and slap me in the face and push me down a flight of stairs. Like, we can be cordial, we can be polite, but it's like, don't try to develop a friendship with me if you're going behind my back and talking shit about me. And I'm the same way. It's like, I don't try to be, like, I try to be kind to everyone, but it's like, you can tell if I don't fuck with somebody because I'm not going out of my way to speak to them. And it's not because I like want them to fall down a flight of stairs. It's just like, it's just not a vibe. Like, we're not connected in that way. So I'm just like, all right, like, you're good, I'm good. Like, I'm just gonna, you know, go hang out with people who celebrate me and make me feel special and magical and but yeah, I mean, I will say I love Madonna because of that energy, and Mariah the same reason, and Whitney. I just feel like Whitney is somebody that I'm like, I cannot say a single negative word about her because I just think nobody will ever sing as well as she does again.
She has the most beautiful voice of all time. There's literally no doubt.
Literally. And she just like I just, it makes me so sad. Like, I feel like a lot of people around her like used and abused her, and so a lot of her stuff was just like, it was toughness because she had to be tough. Yeah, people were taking advantage of her. I don't think Madonna and Mariah are the same in terms of like, I don't think that they, like, obviously they have to as a pop star you have to protect yourselves, but it was like Whitney literally like had vultures and vipers around
I would
her.
say for sure, especially like I'd really be curious. I feel like I'd have to learn more about like Madonna, how Mariah like moved about like the music industry, and obviously we don't know so much about like these people and like how much. And everything. I'm obsessed with parsing it out and like digging through it, but I only know what I know, but like, which is a very small part. But Madonna is like very much like, Madonna was somebody who her biggest strength was being like strong. You know what I mean? Like, is that she was like came in there like a bulldozer and said, this is what I want, this is my creative vision. And you know, Madonna is definitely like not a musical talent anywhere near the like the depth of like Whitney or Mariah in terms of like singing, you know, definitely. But like, she's a creative force, and she is a powerful woman who's like going to say, this is what I want for this album. I'm going to choose my collaborators. I'm going to bring people in. I have like a control over my creative vision. I
mean, I feel like Madonna's literally the blueprint, like the pop star blueprint.
The pop star
and
blueprint.
It's like, I think with Madonna and with Mariah and even with Whitney, all in their own ways. Like, I think we use like this general word of like, you know, like bossy or mean or whatever. I think it's like, at that time, I think even now still, but definitely then, like, you kind of had to be, as a woman in the industry, to get what you wanted. I think you had to serve like that energy.
Yeah. Well, and that's something too that's fascinating to me about like Ellen DeGeneres is, I think, okay, so we know that Ellen DeGeneres, her whole like persona was like a nice person, but she was secretly like
mean. Evil. That's kind of what's been revealed.
And but I think that what's so interesting to me about that is, now, is the reason that she was successful was because she was always that way, and she's always like, I'm gonna like fucking stand up for myself. I'm like, or was it that she became famous and then she got all these like yes men and these people do whatever she said, and she started becoming like or was it that like she realized along the way, on the way up, that she had to be this way, and so, or the things she like, I'm so curious, like, what is it about, like, is it something fundamental about Madonna that like her standing up for herself and her being like, I keep wanting to say battle axe, which I think is a super offensive term. I've said, but like her being like a battle axe, her being like somebody who's like, I'm gonna like do. Is that something that she learned from being in these environments, or is that something innate to her? You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I think that all the women we're talking about, like, do have powerful characteristics and qualities, but honestly, it's like, I feel like they're kind of being held under a microscope because they're women. Like, I hate to play that card, but it's like, I think that men in the industry behaving the same way would not be labeled as battle axes or mean or bossy. Like, they would just be men being men. And I think that that's what's so frustrating, because it's like a woman working really hard to like achieve this level of status and success. It's like, I think Ellen had to be kind and lovely and charming to build the platform she's built, but it's like, you can be kind and lovely and charming, 20 hours out of the day, but there might be 4 hours out of the day where you fucking had it with people. And it's just, I feel like the thing with Ellen is like, I wonder if after a certain point in time she was like, fuck, I can't be this 24/7 all the time. Like, I have to have that duality. Sometimes I have to, be the other side.
Right. I think with Ellen DeGeneres specifically, I think that it is the opposite, where I think she's nice maybe like a half an hour a day, and then the other like 23 and a half, she is. Yeah, you think she developed.
Yeah, you think she developed this to get her platform.
I do. I think that and once again, we don't know these people, but
that's the thing. That's hard.
From what I've heard, and I had heard the rumors. Did you know about the rumors that Ellen DeGeneres was a psychopath before?
I know that Kathy Griffin was saying it, and I feel like Kathy Griffin, everybody was like ignoring, but she was the first person to ever be like, Ellen was unkind. I do think that like, I love the clip. I forget, it's the actress from 50 Shades of Grey, where she's like, I did invite you to my birthday, Ellen.
Not Dakota.
What is her name? It's Dakota Johnson. It's Dakota Johnson, I think.
Is it Dakota Johnson?
I think that's right. Okay. But yeah, it's her on Ellen, and Ellen's like giving her a hard time about like, oh, well, you just had your birthday. I wasn't invited. And Dakota's just like, Ellen, yes, you were invited to my birthday. And she like stays so calm and says this, and she's like, yes, you were. It's like,
I didn't even know you liked me.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know
you see Dakota Johnson also did that joke like about Armie Hammer?
No, I didn't see that.
She was at this like awards show or whatever, and she's like, I was actually offered the role of the Peach in Call Me by Your Name, but I had to turn it down, which I guess is for the best, because then I'd just be another woman that Armie Hammer was trying to eat. I also, though, she's like a nepo baby, and
yes,
I think part of her like feeling that she's confident enough to do these things and like stand up to Ellen DeGeneres is because she has the connections. Yeah. Well, I like if you don't like have like that.
It is what it is, baby.
That kind of power, like yeah. I mean, I don't like.
I mean, I'm sitting here second guessing if anything I said on this podcast was cruel, in case I ever meet any of these people.
I don't think anything well. That's the other thing, though, is like, okay, Sarah Squirm, is on SNL now.
Yeah.
I know for sure I've heard Sarah Squirm, like, on a podcast or something, trash SNL. Like, straight up trash SNL. And, like, too, like I see, like, these, like, people on, like, podcasts or something, like, maybe talk shit about, like, Ariana Grande, and then it's, like, a gay in her music video or something. So it's, like, I think that I think with these public figures, I don't know if they are able to keep track of everything that's said about them too, or too, like, I don't know, like maybe they have like a different understanding of like how people talk about them, and so, I don't know, but like I think that like the best thing is to just kind of be honest about your opinions, and like
we're just speculating here, but yeah, I mean basically it's like I'm very like, I want to advocate for all women, especially women in the industry who've been successful. I just feel like it's like, it is always sometimes I find myself questioning, is she right or is she just a woman, Jamie? Like you gotta hold yourself accountable.
That's something
sometimes.
That I really feel like I feel like the internet specifically, and also I think that politics in the internet has really stratified identity, and like the feeling that like this person is also a woman, is also a gay person, so I have to support them. And I think that it's undoubtable that like these like that marginalized identities.
Ellen is also a fucking billionaire, and I'm anti-supporting any billionaires because I'm like, well, what are you doing with that money?
It's hard because on one hand, it's like I love all these women. I'm obsessed with them. That's why I bring them up every podcast.
Every podcast we keep talking about.
I'm obsessed with pop stars. I'm obsessed with their careers. It's a fascinating thing. And also, I think that it's so interesting to look at like culture through the lens of like pop stars' careers. And like, I mean, definitely like Madonna is like you can look at her career and like, through her career you can see where culture is like in so many like different like places. Like it's insane that Madonna released a book where she was like naked and like masturbating and having sex like in the early 90s.
Yeah, like that's bad bitch mentality.
That's insane. That's psycho cuckoo banana pants.
I love it though.
Oh, it's iconic.
It's
iconic.
No one will ever be. Yeah, no, she's on top. I'm so excited to go see her. Like I really am so excited to go see her.
It's gonna be so good. She has the hit.
She has all the hits.
Yeah,
everyone. I feel like I'm really not sure. But what
whenever
we're
I
about.
talk about whenever I talk about a celebrity, I'm like thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh my God, are they gonna hear something I said in the podcast? Like then I'm gonna almost work with them in a situation. It's like,
you'd be like,
because it's like
they like slide over the podcast tape.
It's not insane though, because it's like we've been on shows with Meg Stalter, and now she was famous, in the Madonna announcement video.
Yes.
That like was like where like so it's like you never know like
what could happen. Yeah,
what could happen.
That's why. Yeah, I feel like I just imagine we pass all the checks with J-Lo and Madonna. They're like not a Virgo, not a Scorpio. Well, actually, you're out.
I'm out.
That gets immediately out.
I already can't fucking work with J-Lo.
Yeah,
was Madonna against Virgos too?
No, Madonna's against Scorpios.
Oh, okay,
but I think
fine.
Also,
honestly,
I feel like she's against them. But
no wonder I have a problem with J-Lo. She was right. She was right. It's the Virgo in me.
But yeah, I get to see like I get to the final round. Like she's like, "You're a Leo. I'm a Leo. I love you." She's like, "But I found this podcast episode from The Big Finish," and she like slides the tape across the table, and she's like, "Security, take her away," and I get escorted out. Like this is where my brain goes because I'm an insane person, but it really is.
Have
that
you seen
time.
though?
Oh wait,
but,
I was gonna say it's almost that time where we have to do the song, but I want you to say what you're
gonna say. Okay, I'm gonna say this one thing and then we're gonna do the song. Have you seen though? Like there's like right when J-Lo got Selena, where she goes in and on every single like famous woman and she like talks major trash about them, and it's like Gwyneth Paltrow is not a real actress. Like I'm a real actress.
I mean, I don't like Gwen, but LOL. Like Queen.
I know. I can't remember all
You're better than Gwen.
She's
okay.
Like, she's like Jennifer Aniston doesn't do what I do. She doesn't know anything about, so like J-Lo also like. You need to be a little understanding, right, girly? Right, Jenny from the block? Like, you've been around the block, so, like...
We're making art.
Yeah.
Entertainment, okay?
Okay. Love you.
Love you.
I'm obsessed with all these women,
all
too.
All of them. Love you all like a sister.
Please
Ellen,
hire me.
Ellen, I'm kind of scared of, but...
I'm scared of all of them. I'm scared of all of them, and I love them, and I also make fun of them. So that's...
Yes.
And that's kind of the thing of coming back to what we talked about earlier in the podcast is, like, I love the comedians I made that joke about. I skewered them, and then they're pissed at me, and that's the circle of life.
It is.
Okay.
And next week we're going to be the ones getting made fun of.
100%. 100%. That's how it works.
That is how the world works, and we'll see how this song is going to work in a second here.
I think so.
I'm going to really try, Beckett, to get a good chorus.
Let's do it.
Roast me, roast me, roast me. You think you can hurt me? Roast me, roast me, roast me. I'm not crying, I've just been cutting some onions. Roast me, roast me, roast me.
You think you can hurt me?
Roast me, roast me, roast me. I'm not crying, it's just my seasonal allergies.
You think you can hurt me, but you don't know a single thing. I can throw it back like my hairline. I'm not afraid of a thing that you say, and you know I've been big, I've been small, I've been everything in between. And you can roast me, toast me, but you better get some butter too, because everything you say, it's not going to affect me. Just kidding. I'm actually extremely sensitive, and I can dish it, but I can't take it.
You can roast me, cause nothing you say will hurt me more than what I'm already thinking. I already played out this scenario in my head, and it was much worse in my head than what you said. I promise you, no one can hurt me worse than I do. No one can hurt me worse than I do. No one can hurt me worse than I do.
Except for you
Roast me,
can probably hurt me like that. But guess what? Even when you do, I'm gonna bounce right back. I'm gonna cut some onions so it doesn't even look like I'm crying because of you. But really, we don't know what is producing these tears.
I'm a battle axe, I'm a boss ass bitch. So if you roast me, I'm gonna make the most of it. I'm a battle axe and I'm a boss ass bitch. So if you roast me, I'm gonna make the most of it. So go on, roast me.
Ooh.
You think you can hurt me? Ha! We will see, baby. Roast me.
You can roast me about singing this song, because I don't really feel like I'm nailing it right now.
But you know what? We did our best. Woo!
Wow.
I think definitely the moment where you said, "Just kidding, I'm incredibly sensitive." That's already a trending TikTok sound in my heart, because I felt that to my core.
A trending TikTok sound in our heart. The only way we're getting trending TikTok sounds
the only place we're getting trending TikTok sounds is in my heart. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in once again. I have been Jamie Schreiner.
I've been Beckett Kenny.
And we'll catch you at the next one.
Yeah, and thank you to our lovely pianist, Becca, as well as our producer, engineer extraordinaire, Christine. And the Lincoln Lodge for hosting us. And we will see you guys soon. That's our big finish.
Iconic. Bye.
Bye. This is the big finish at Lincoln Lodge. We're about to get it on the show. So come on, everybody, and get the show on the road.
Let's get it on the road.